ENEOS are concerned about Manchester United's midfield. Is it the personnel? Is it the tactics? But after the Liverpool game, they raised concerns about how open it was once again. And we know that Manchester United left some funds open after the summer transfer window. We know that there's funds there for an emergency left-back if needed. Anthony Robinson is one of many being looked at. Potentially a number 8 if needed. Angel Gomes is now one we're going to discuss. And potentially a winger if needed. They're sort of the 3 positions that Manchester United are keeping an eye on ahead of the January window in case they need to spend a bit of funds. Because after Agata, there was no more signings, despite Sancho being offloaded, despite McTominay being offloaded, and there's a little bit of money to spend in January, which is good. So we're going to talk about the January plan. We're going to talk about the midfield. We're going to talk about what INEOS are concerned about, Sekou Kone, the truth behind that. But also, you know, Laurie Whitwell in his article said that INEOS have picked up on some positives, like how the pressing has improved and more. So guys, please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. We're like 4 subscribers away from like 92.8k on that road to 100k. So do subscribe if you're new. Let's get in to the video. So what are the concerns on the United midfield? There was some concern among Manchester United personnel that the gaps in midfield were once again evident in the 3-0 loss to Liverpool, said Laurie Whitwell. Laurie Whitwell also said that questions were raised internally about whether this is a problem with the players or instructions they are being given. Similar issue occurred last season. There are people at the club who feel the roots are systematic and that the remedy should be sought at the Carrington base. Now, I think it's a mix of 2 things. I think it's a mix of the players not having the legs and athleticism to cover the same amount of ground and distance and speed as other teams' midfields. I don't think we aren't athletically as good as Liverpool's midfield. They are more athletically better. That is a fact. But I also do think some of it's to do with tactics, because when Mainoo gets dispossessed, Collier's at the other end of the pitch. And why is Collier that far up? But when Casemiro was dispossessed, Mainoo was quite far up the pitch. So I absolutely agree that I think elements of it is tactical because there's a massive space between the midfield and defence. So when the midfield loses the ball, they just run at the defence. There's no one there for cover. And I think that it's very obvious the fact that Collier was so high up, just like Casemiro and Mainoo were at times, that he's been instructed to stay up because they want to attack quick. So I think, yeah, a lot of it is systematic. A lot of it is to do with the system. And then I think some of it is just to do with the players. Casemiro doesn't have the legs. Obviously, Eriksen hasn't played, but he doesn't have the legs. We don't have an Amadou Onana. We don't have a Max Weaver. We don't have a superstar athlete. Mainoo's good on the ball. He's all right off the ball, but he's not a superstar athlete. Bruno's a superstar athlete, but he's right up high up the pitch because he's practically playing false 9. We do need almost like a superstar athlete. Now, Laurie Whitwell is saying that there's thoughts that this could maybe be fixed at the Carrington base. And I think, yeah, elements of this can be. I think some of it's to do with the players, but I do think some of it is tactical. And I think INEOS have got some concerns. Now, talking of the midfield, the number 6 and the plans, Laurie Whitwell also added to his report that Christopher Vivill, the interim director of recruitment, was the driver behind the transfer of Sekou Kone, which we know. Kone will go into the academy initially with a view of first-team involvement in the medium term. Given Ten Hag's need for a number 6 to kind of bridge transfers United have not typically done, the player was known to Steve Brown, United's head of scouting operations, but it felt that previously recruitment staff may have been unable to execute a difficult deal. So again, he's saying Kone is one that's obviously done by Vivill. He's saying that this is one that United have been aware of for a while, but previously our recruitment staff wouldn't have done this kind of deal. We scouted Casado, recruitment staff wouldn't do it for 4 million. We scouted Haaland, recruitment staff wouldn't do it for 4 million. We've scouted so many little gems, even like Suzuki, the goalkeeper, who's doing really well now. You know, the amount of little gems that we've scouted and we've found, and then they go to a Brighton and they do really well. And we almost sign them and, you know, they go to another club and they do really well. Like, we scouted our fair share of gems, but then we don't sign them because the recruitment team don't go for it. And now, obviously, with Vivill here, when we do scout those gems, we are going to go for it. So we're not going to miss out on the next Caicedo. We're not going to miss out on the next Erling Haaland. I think that's sort of a point to be made about why this team is different and why the INEOS recruitment team is different. But let's go back into recruitment and let's go back into potential transfers that United could be doing, because this is a really interesting report from the Manchester Evening News, which adds to loads of reports over the last 6 months. There's been reports from back in April, May linking us to Angel Gomes before he got the England call-up. And that is that Angel Gomes sees clearly a move back to Manchester United as his long-term ambition. His contract expires at the end of the season. However, clubs are allowed to negotiate with him in January to secure his signature ahead of the summer window. Now, apparently Angel Gomes wants the Manchester United move. That would be his goal. He obviously is probably unlikely to sign a new contract between now and January, which means if Manchester United want Angel Gomes, they can go and get him in January ahead of the summer window, with Man United apparently being his favourite destination to go. Now, Eriksen is out of contract, and when you think of an Eriksen replacement, Angel Gomes ticks every single box to replace Eriksen. And Eriksen himself is out of contract. United know that they could get Angel Gomes on a free to replace Eriksen, who they got on a free, who is out of contract, and then the rest of the midfield funds can be spent on a defensive midfielder. Now, I did a video last week to say, and it was said by a reliable source, that INEOS' priority was replacing Casemiro and Eriksen, offloading them, replacing them. Obviously, Eriksen will leave as a free agent in the summer, and Angel Gomes for Eriksen makes sense. Player on a free to replace another player that went on a free, and then all the funds can go into that Casemiro replacements, which could be a Wharton, which could be ridiculously expensive. Robbo is saying the same thing as me. Generally, the perfect replacement, Eriksen replacement, fits what our club wants to do because of become in terms of a possession-based system, our homegrown Verratti. If you think of possession, if you think of replacing Eriksen, if you think of Verratti, that is what Angel Gomes brings. And Ligue 1 is a physical league. So if you can do it in Ligue 1, I believe you can do it in the Premier League. You know, I don't watch a lot of Ligue 1, but I know that he was good. I know when he went on loan to Portugal, he impressed. I think there's a really, really good player there in Angel Gomes. It's a deal that makes a lot of sense. The problem with United is we never really act on deals that make a lot of sense. But now that INEOS is here, hopefully we do act on deals that make a lot of sense. To give you a bit of context on him, for Ligue 1 midfielders, he's first for assists, he's third for expected assists, he's fourth for passes into the penalty area, he's fourth for key passes, he's fifth for free passes. Similar data to Odegaard, very creative player, can play in Bruno's role, can play deeper in Mainoo's role, obviously. Very good player, very creative player, and I think he would suit Ten Hag's system as well and suit what INEOS would want to build. And he is a United Academy player, and it feels like you've got to bring him home. Do you know what I mean? Like, bring him home, a United Academy player. And also, priority to replace Eriksen and Casemiro in 2025, Gomes for Eriksen, Wharton for Casemiro, Kone to come through, Ugarte already in, Mainoo stays, Bruno stays, hopefully Mount is good and stays fit, Bish, Bash, Bosh, the midfield is fixed. Continuing on, because we have been linked to Rabiot, and actually Santi is quite a good source that's linked us to Rabiot. Could anything happen now? INEOS are concerned about the midfield. Could anything happen now? I think if Rabiot was willing to lower his wages and take a short-term deal, I think we'd bring Rabiot in. I just don't know if he's willing to do that, but he may get desperate because he still hasn't found a club. Manchester United have held discussions with Adrien Rabiot in recent days. United have a better relationship with the player's agent because the salary demands have decreased. Rabiot's mother is pushing to secure the midfielder and move to United. Could be one to watch. Do I think that Rabiot's agent is linking us to United loads and keeping him in the media to keep him relevant, to try and get more clubs interested? Yes. Is Santi a good source of information? Yes. Could something happen between Rabiot and Manchester United? Yes. But until Romano, until Ornstein, until Laurie Whitwell say anything about Rabiot, I'm going to say probably not going to happen. If he lowers his wages, I think it can happen for sure. But United aren't that bothered unless he lowers his demands, and they've made that clear. Continuing on into other Manchester United news, because we spoke about the negatives, how the midfield was open versus Liverpool, and INEOS have concerns about that, and that wasn't good enough. But there are some positives in and around United at the moment. It was said, after looking at potential replacements for Erik ten Hag before and after the FA Cup final, only to conclude that he was the best man for the job. The board want to continue to back the manager. The recruitment was done under his influence, and 3 new coaches were chosen by him. So they're saying that INEOS, despite reports that Ten Hag could be going, despite them probably wanting Tuchel, they've said, you know what, we stuck with Ten Hag, we're going to back with Ten Hag, we're going to bring in the coaches he wants, we're going to bring in the best kind of players, we're going to give him the best kind of environment to thrive and succeed. And if we're getting to Christmas time and we're not seeing any kind of progress from Erik ten Hag, then they have a reason to sack him because they've got in the coaches, they've got in the players. It's not necessarily about results. That will come in time. This is a new team that haven't played together, but are we seeing what you're trying to do? Are we seeing the progress? And that's what INEOS will want to see, because let's be honest, they did want to sack Ten Hag. They did want to sack Ten Hag in the summer. It was very, very obvious. It got leaked that they planned to sack him. They couldn't get Tuchel. They couldn't get McKenna. They thought, do we really want to take a risk on Poch? Probably not. Shall we go and stay with Ten Hag? And that's what they did. They went and stuck with Ten Hag, and that's absolutely good. That's absolutely fine. But, Ten Hag has now got to prove it. Not been the best start to the season, but I do think we were better versus City, better versus Fulham, and better versus Brighton. I think despite the Brighton loss, we played all right. We weren't good enough versus Liverpool, but is that just a one-off? Because I did see improvements the first few games of the season. Are we going to beat Southampton? Are we going to beat Barnsley? Are we going to beat Crystal Palace? The games that we should be winning. Good. That's a good sign. That builds confidence. Then we go into a game like Tottenham, a bit more difficult. Get a win over the line. Bish, bash, bosh. That's what I want to see from United. Well, these were the positives I was talking about a second ago. There is acknowledgement of better application to pressing in the games against Fulham and Brighton, as well as during pre-season the Community Shield against Man City. Man United had the 5th highest expected goals in the Premier League at 5.22, behind Man City 7.11, but ahead of Arsenal 4.25. That United have only actually scored twice is the joint lowest total in the division. Points to finishing being an issue, which is true. I think when you look at the opening 3 games, we've underperformed our numbers more than any other team, which is a suggestion that I don't like to say the word unlucky, but it's a suggestion that we're playing better than our points tally suggests, and that over the long term, our points tally should even out with how we're playing. That's the way I see it. I think that's the positive of looking at it. Like, we're not actually that bad numbers wise. But listen, people, that's a roundup of all the latest Manchester United news. If you're watching still now and you're not subscribed, you clearly liked the video, so please do hit that like button and subscribe on the way out. I will be back live tonight with a live show talking about United Southampton. A little bit of a preview to that game. Will Agate be playing? Thank you for watching. See you next time, and bye.